Welcome, everybody, to the Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Raad Ghantous on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Raad Ghantous.
Raad Ghantous. Where in the world is Raad Ghantous today?
It's 2021. Where the hell would we be? We're all staying at home. I found it very amusing to listen to the ad that runs in the intro.
I did too.
That's been from day one about your home for a lifetime. It feels like we've been home for a lifetime.
I really did. And the challenges that we face and everything here. Oh my goodness.
As we get older. Yeah. So the where I am, I'm at home. I'll give you guys like a really quick just turn around here on my camera. But I want to, welcome everybody for joining us today. Paul and I have been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and we were going to do it before, but I felt like it was inappropriate, and I'll explain why in a minute. But today we are launching the Raad Life COVID Chronicles series. And again, I'll explain a little bit more about what that is, but basically I'm at home. And the reason I'm at home, not that it's a bad setting, trust me, but even in this setting, it gets a little old after, almost a month.
If you got to be isolated, that's not a bad place to be.
Right, but I ended up coming down with COVID. People who know me know the show, know that last March I set up a mask company. I have been very diligent about masking. I have been very vocal about masking. I've been all of this stuff. Take all the precautions you can, and I've done that, and I is very successful. I thought for almost 9 months, 10 months.
And you have an ailing father, and you lost your mother last year.
I have an ailing father, and my mom passed away in May, which was a couple of months after COVID, and we've been very, very careful about that because I felt like really responsible if I wasn't careful that I would bring it back, and I had to be there for my dad, and I'm spending a lot of the nights here with my dad. My sister leaves me a couple of days a week. And, that's all adjusting. But we went from losing my mom to then my dad and his care and building up 24/7 care. And Paul, I know you've been through stuff like that before. So you know how all consuming it is. But are you Paul? Paul, you're still there?
Hang on 1 second.
Paul?
I'm going to let you go on for a second. I got to take one quick phone call here. So explain what it is.
I saw your picture change. Anyway, so Paul has been through this as well with his parents when he was caring for them, but I was very careful, super careful, almost to the point of really not connecting with a lot of people, staying away, always wearing a mask. I mean, if I was not at home or a couple of places that I felt safe to take my mask off, I wore a mask. And that was kind of part of the reason why we set up the company and really work on the mask quality and its comfort and all that stuff over the course of the last year. So here comes Christmas. And again, very, very conscious about the fact that it's Christmas and families getting together, and then Thanksgiving before that, and really, really diligent. Well, I ended up contracting COVID. And I got it from my dad. My dad, who's been at home for the better part of the year. We contracted it from a person who basically was with a caregiving agency. That agency is no longer somebody we are using. But they were, to be fair to that agency, that person was a bit of a problem, and he was not careful. And so we ended up picking up COVID from him. So again, one of the places that you think you are the safest, the sanctuary of your home, you're doing everything in your power, and here we go, you get COVID. And in my case, I was fortunate in that So whether it makes a difference or not, but they say if you're a certain blood type, the impact is not as severe. I'm younger, more or less, just turned 56 this month. And I had done what I usually am concerned about during the holidays is my body knows that I'm not going to be necessarily on and needing to perform. So it shuts me down. So knowing that I cannot be shut down this year because of my dad and needing to be there for him, I went and I got a what they call a Myers cocktail IV drip right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year. That's basically an immunity booster. You can look it up on Google. Myers cocktail is what it's called. I think that helped me a little bit in having a little bit more of a boost of immunity. But even with that being said, I lost my sense of smell. I lost my sense of taste. The most annoying thing on the planet for me was not being able to taste. Aches, body aches, and a cough that's kind of persisted a little bit, but I think it's more habitual now, and that's what I'm being told by the doctors. And then we're just kind of working on deprogramming me from having to clear my throat all the time. So that was me. But my dad, we honestly thought we were going to lose him.
Because your dad, just give a little quick background. Your dad obviously is aging. He has a bunch of health issues. He's in his 80s.
My father's 86 years old. As most people that of that age, he has some chronic medical issues, and he honestly was doing okay for all that he's dealing with. He was doing okay, and then this thing happened, and his oxygen levels dropped. We're now monitoring oxygen levels every half an hour, temperature every half an hour. We take him in for like blood work and all this stuff, thinking he's just basically not feeling well. Comes back, when we got tested for COVID, after the results had come back from my dad, all clear, other than his chronic issues, we thought, no, there's no way, because his blood work just came back. His I know, we did a cardiogram, all this stuff. Everything was fine. So
do you feel, and I'm tell me if I'm getting too deep and too close, because this is about being vulnerable and open, but I don't know how far we can go.
There's a certain point, just to be fair, there's a certain point I'm not going to take it beyond, but go ahead. I'll let you know if you get there.
Okay. Yeah. Just raise your hand or something. Say, I would wonder, do you know if you got it from him or he got it from you? Because you had caregivers anyway come in and help your dad. He has some cognitive issues and some other things. And
no, and again, for the purpose of full disclosure, all the caregivers were careful, right? We in order it, and again, this is something that if you haven't been through yet, it's caring for a parent, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to afford to provide care for them in their own home,
right,
versus basically in a facility, which is not cheap, but it's more expensive to do it in your own home. In order to secure care over a period of 24/7, it took us about 5 months to do that. Yeah. And we had to use multiple agencies to do it, because you got weekends, you got shifts, you got people. And we narrowed it down to where we had about 4 caregivers that were coming through. And this particular one was from one agency, and the other ones were from another agency. Now, the ones from the other agency have been just stellar, okay? And I don't mind giving a plug to them. It's Bright Star. They've been stellar. They've been careful. They've been cautious. They have tested in advance. If anybody's not feeling well at all, they don't come in. And we were doing that. Like, we were making sure that we were on top of it. I think I got it, and there's no way of really knowing.
No, right.
The problem with COVID is I believe that I got it from my father, because that's the only person of very few people that I would allow myself to be close enough to without a mask.
We haven't seen each other in months. You wouldn't come. We weren't coming in the studio. You weren't doing other things.
I told you I wasn't going to come into the studio. I told you I wasn't going to basically, take risk, and not only for myself, but even more importantly, to be honest with you, for the people, my loved ones, and people around me that I care about. Like no way I was going to basically put.
So my question is, that must be hard to take and accept. Oh my goodness. I am of everybody wearing a mask, because I make masks. oh my goodness, I've been taking extraordinary precautions and shutting down my life to protect my father and not to bring it into the house.
My circle was very small. I was totally content and fine with it. To be honest with you, shedding a whole bunch of the bullshit of running around for no reason and all this superficial relationships, that's been a blessing of COVID. I mean, let's just call it like it is. These are the COVID Chronicles, so we're going to call it like it is, right? And before I get all into this and we forget, the purpose of the Raad Life COVID Chronicles is to literally talk about this stuff and to invite people on to talk about it.
Yes, right.
And it's not all going to be just venting and downloading, but there's room for that, because I think it has been a traumatic experience globally, communally, individually, and I think we need to be able to talk about it as part of our, call it, healing.
Absolutely. Okay. You've hit the nail on the head. I see right now I don't think anybody's realized this yet, but I think there's going to be a massive post-traumatic stress disorder in this nation from everybody who said, I'm fine, I got it handled, and they weren't fine.
I will tell you that there are people I personally know that are having a very hard time with this, and I totally understand and empathize why. It also puts a lot of strain on relationships. I mean, imagine if you basically are diligent, cautious, careful, you're a good human being, you've done everything in your ability to deal with an undefinable disease, to try to protect yourself and your loved ones, and then you somehow pass it on. Because you didn't even know you got it, because you've been so careful and diligent. There's no way for us right now to basically home test. Like, it's just starting. I just ordered a whole bunch of home tests so that I would be able to have control over this as much as I can, but also to be acting responsibly. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to basically go out to parties on Fridays, but it means that I want to be able to monitor my own health, make sure that I'm not exposing anybody, just in that slim chance that I may pick it up from somewhere, right? And we weren't able to do that. But so this disease, to your point, has put a lot of strain on relationships. It has basically undermined the trust in relationship, because it's genuinely and totally understandably a scary thing to come in any proximity and contact with.
So, and here's the other part of it. Unlike every other crisis that I've known in my lifetime, national crisis, personal crisis, 9/11, for example. When 9/11 happened, people were shook up. We're all glued watching this thing. And even though it was 2,000 or 3,000 people in one location, we as a nation felt it and grieved. And we gathered in candlelight vigils. We gathered in bars. We gathered in people's homes. I had a bar at the time.
No, right now we're being, there are those of us who are really have done everything in our power to be respectful of not just ourselves, but to protect ourselves and protect the people around us.
Yeah.
And there are people that basically are walking around, and I'll say it bluntly, that are basically mask holes. They're either wearing their mask like a chin guard, or they're dropping their mask underneath their nose, and they're all acting like they're friggin' high school juvenile delinquents that are all basically, putting a pack of cigarettes in their T-shirt. They're all like rebels without a clue. And they're walking around and they're bitching about the fact that they can't go to their bar and they can't hang out until 2 o'clock in the morning and they can't be within close proximity of everything. I get the human cost of, sorry, that's actually an ironic way of calling it. The human cost has been over 400,000 people. And the projection is 600,000 people in this country alone. Okay? But, and you and I have talked about this before, I was never a believer that the shutting down of the economy was going to be a solution in any shape or form.
No, you were angry as anybody I knew.
Remember that? So unfortunately, because of the stupidity and the rebellion without a clue of people not wanting to adhere to discomforting themselves for a split second so they can basically maybe help others and themselves get over the hump of this thing, it blew out of proportions. It went unchecked and became rampant, and they now were basically grabbing at straws to what to do, and shutdown became part of it.
And I always say that shutdown is the proof that we failed. If we had been able to find it and isolate it, even aggressively, early on, it didn't have to spread everywhere. But it's only when we don't know where it is, we throw our hands up and say, shut it all down.
That being said, Paul, it is what it is.
Yeah, right.
It is what it is.
But here was the point I was going to make earlier. Not just that people haven't still denying and going about their life and fighting it and everything, but in previous crisis, we had a way to come together and hug each other and hold each other.
We're a divided country like we've never been before, Paul. This is
but now we're being asked you're being asked to handle the stress of this on your own life and the stress of this on your father's life alone.
Well, again, all right. My year has been one of a loss of my one parent.
Right.
And shout out to my sister and kudos to her because, and the people that are around me and my small circle of support that have basically made it possible for me to get through this year. You know how it is for guys. We're supposed to be stoic and handle all this stuff, right? And part of why I'm doing this show too is because we have breaking points. We have, days that are going to be just like a drain. We're going to take it out in ways that are basically not productive. We maybe lash out at somebody. But at the end of the day, this year for me has been a loss of one parent. Sorry to say it, but this is the truth. Watching another parent go through a living death because of Parkinson's and dementia, and now basically having had COVID, his Parkinson's levels have increased, hopefully temporarily, but we don't know. It could be our new normal, if you will. And you're still needing to be able to function,
right?
Needing to be able to be there for other people, for your loved ones, to be supportive in the best way you can. This is something that has really taken a toll that we have not even begun to discuss, other than the human cost, which is very real and very sad and very tragic. But there's other things that are going to be the cost of this, in addition to probably prolonged medical complications and things of that nature. So anybody who's out there that's still acting like they couldn't care less,
and it's no big deal, and
shame on you.
Right.
Shame on you for being so self-centered and selfish. Okay? Put a fucking mask on. Okay? It is not a fucking political statement. Put a fucking mask on.
It's such a simple thing to do for you and for them. It shows your concern for yourself and taking responsibility for your own health and showing others that you care about them.
So with that being said, again, because I don't want to really get, I am upset. I have all the feelings in the world on this. I am upset,
stressed, tired. Yeah.
I feel like I'm isolated. I feel like, I feel a ton of guilt for a number of reasons relevant to COVID and being exposed to it. I'm doing everything I can to try to be supportive of everybody that I care about in my life and trying to be there for them. There's a strain everywhere I look. And I'm hoping that doing this show not only helps me, but helps other people, that they can come on. They know that you're not, if you're going through this, you're not alone. And being isolated in your own home, sometimes it feels like you're alone.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. We're forced to handle this one alone, apart. We can't embrace and hold. Everybody can't come over and cook you food and hug you and say, it's okay, buddy, you're going to make it.
Right. Well, although I got to tell you, if I was around people that were being that self-righteous and selfish and self-centered, I don't really know that I would be able to control my tongue, let alone, show them another reaction. But so maybe a little isolation is not a bad thing, but it is very hard, because even if you have like your core unit and you're in the same home, right? After 10 months, the strain on those relationships is where's the measure of that? We haven't even measured that. People that that are single moms that are basically having to homeschool and work out of the home because their company has basically put them in a remote condition. Single dads, same thing. You got people that are unable to have their support system because they want to be careful not to expose their elderly parents to it, right? Just in case, or but at the same time, you still need to maybe get some help in the house if you're elderly. The person that brings you the food to the door, you're not, we used to say that, Meals on Wheels was not just a food delivery, it was actually a social component
It
for
is. For
people.
my aunt, it
Because,
was. Yeah. It's the only person she saw the whole week.
well, your aunt right now, if she was getting Meals on Wheels, that food would be left at the door.
Yeah, right.
She would not interact with the person who was basically bringing it in, that she now has a relationship with, and counts on those connection points and contacts as to see her through the week.
And I counted on little Tony, who drove in there, to be the eyes and ears. She was 2 hours away for me. Yeah. Is she alive? Is she okay?
So we haven't even begun to talk about that. And you and I talked about doing this before, and I was almost tempted to do it while I was going through this. But I felt that was a little bit too personal, because it wasn't just me, it was myself and my dad. And, there was a lot of worry and concern, genuinely, a couple of sleepless nights for sure. And I didn't want to basically do that. So here we are, Raad Life COVID Chronicles. I would love to have people come on. I know we will be reaching out to people, but I do want to kind of just shift gears for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What COVID has also done is it also has opened our eyes on a lot of levels, including personal health, balance in life. We don't want to work at home all the time, but we probably are going to want to work remotely more than we are in an office. We're going to probably be looking for solutions that go way beyond masks, but I think masks will be around as almost like a handkerchief, if you will,
right?
Or something that you would take with you. I mean, we were using hand sanitizers way before COVID, right? So there will be things that will basically stay with us. The people that are talking about, and I want to acknowledge this because it's a human condition, the people that are talking about going back to the old normal,
which we all want. We want to wipe out what's happened, close our eyes and say, just turn it back, turn back the clock.
But let's talk about that from a point of understanding versus a point of anger and frustration. It is understandable to me that people want that. And the reason why is because the human condition, one of the main traits of being a human being, is that in most cases you are resistant to change.
Right.
We don't do change very well.
Fear change. Don't take it. Don't like it.
Right. So because it forces you to have to do something different. So the part of the reason why we want to go back to that, even though it may not be the best thing for us, is because we know it, and it's, I don't want to change. And I feel like somebody's holding literally a loaded gun with a virus to my head, telling me that I need to change everything in my life. So I want to acknowledge that and respectfully, kind of like say that I understand that. However, the reality of the situation is we're never going back to that. We're never going back to that.
We don't want to hear that. We don't want to. We want to believe it's. We want to be little kids. We're just hoping and praying and just. We've talked about this way back as this started. You did a fascinating show that we've rerun a bunch of times, and we talked about what happened in 1918, and how when it was over, nobody wanted to talk about it. My grandmother didn't want to talk about it. My great-grandmother didn't. They went through it. Nobody even acknowledged it. It was over. Whew, done. Don't ever bring that up. Don't ever want to think about it. Nothing changed.
I don't want to get political for a minute, but we're kind of doing that same thing with the riots of Capitol Hill and the impeachment. Like, oh no, it's done. He's out of office. Let's just bury it under the carpet.
Right. It's over.
Regardless of where you stand on that, I think the point Paul and I are trying to make here is I understand. I totally do. But the reality is that we're never going to go back to that. And the reason why is very simple. A new habit takes 30 days to form.
Yeah. Right.
We have had 10 months.
Yeah.
So whether you acknowledge it or not, you have changed. The way you will deal with things in the future have changed. You will be ordering more from Instacart than you've ever done before.
Right.
Why? Because it's convenient. You're going to order from Costco to deliver rather than go stand on the line on Saturdays. Why? Because it's convenient. You're going to basically require more things out of your environment in which you live because of your heightened sense, not because of fear. Right now it may be, but you also have a knowledge-based heightened sense of hygiene, health, wellness, quality of air, all of that stuff, right?
I'll give you a silly example. I'm not sure I'm going to go back to ever shaking hands again. I'm going to do this fist bump or elbow bump or wave. I'm not sure when if ever, I'll go back to shaking everybody's hand that I see.
Paul, it used to be cool that you would fist bump your friends.
Right.
So, we were forced into fist bumping now, but a lot of people, hey, hey, buddy, what's going on? That was normal. So I think again, to the point we're talking about, habits and behavioral patterns have changed. The sooner we accept that has happened, to whatever degree of acceptance you're comfortable with, the better. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not the new normal. Okay? New normal means that I abandoned something. I think what we need to start thinking about this is it's an evolution. It's the next normal.
That's interesting. Say that again. It's not the new normal, it's the next normal.
It's not the old normal that I want, but I'm comfortable and I know. It's not this new normal that's been forced upon me. No. We are past the point of being reactionary. At this point, we need to basically be proactive. And we said this earlier on Bomber shows too, right? We referenced it as being, do you have a bunker mentality or do you have a growth mindset when it's business related? We talked about it being sort of a creative pivoting, right? If you're a business, as a human being, as an individual, stop talking about it as being the new normal. And some people have had like a reverse reaction to even saying new normal. So don't call it new normal. Don't think of it as being something that has been forced upon you. At this point, you're not going back to what it was because it's been 10 months. We have been behaving in a different manner.
Yeah.
Call it the next normal or the next step. Okay? It's an evolution. It's an evolution. And if you hit it right, it could even be an elevation.
Right.
Okay? Because we now are going to demand better quality of air in our homes. We're going to demand that businesses and companies that we go and spend time in any commercial space has a proven way of telling me that the environment that I'm entering into is safe. Not because I'm worried about my health, but because I'm demanding the best possible health I can get.
So can I stop you and give you a couple
Sure.
anecdotal examples of what you're talking about? I'll give you three. First one, we do a lot of shows here at OC Talk Radio. We had somebody on a month or two ago on one of our business shows. And she ran the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Big job.
Yep.
And so we asked, what's the new normal? What's the next normal? Are you going to see sanitizers as a permanent part of these things? Are you going to see health and safety as part of these discussions? She said, oh, absolutely. She said, that's not going away, not for maybe ever. And I said, what about live streaming? And she hesitated for a moment. She said, can I tell you the truth? She said, we saw live streaming as the enemy. You're going to stay at home rather than come to Vegas. We don't like live streaming. We didn't push live streaming. We didn't want live streaming. Now we got live streaming. And she said, and now we're realizing it's not in place of, it's in addition to.
Correct.
There are people who are still going to come to Vegas, but we can get more of them to come online and maybe join the event or buy something or pay for something or do. She said, we never thought, we saw it as the enemy, and now we see it as our only, not only our only hope, but our salvation.
No, and in any business, that there is a shelf life for things, that things come and go. They could be seasonal, what have you. If you're a restaurant and you have not spent the time to develop a very sophisticated delivery system and a bunch of menus that are friendly to that kind of service, where it's not all liquidy and it's traveling in the car, all
right,
stuff,
more tapas and little stuff.
Promoted it, okay, and promoted it, or expanded your offerings to where you are doing beautifully packaged meals for holiday season, for private events. It's not just the cake. It's not just being catered. It's a different delivery. If you haven't developed this, then you are behind the eight ball for some people who've done. And to your point, the delivery system is not instead of your in-home restaurant dining. It is in addition to.
Right.
And when your restaurant dining comes back, you may decide, you know what? I'm going to cut down my square footage of the restaurant. I don't need all that seating to make my numbers work. I'm going to basically now have it smaller. My lease numbers are now lower every month. You may decide to keep it, but then change it maybe to a tapas bar, instead of all just dining.
Or
This is
more
a time to
outdoor
really
instead of indoor as they expand out
right,
and
right. But my point is, it's a time for reinvention. It's
right.
a time for reimagination. It's and to embrace it from a position of not, oh my God, somebody's holding a gun to my head, I got to do this. No, start thinking about it as an evolution.
So let me give
Okay,
you another one here.
an elevation, a next step, not a new step that's been forced upon you.
So let me give you another one. We do a show on car design. Another crazy show we have here called Driven by Design. Brian Thompson, 10-year veteran of the Nissan
Yeah.
car design studios. And he's
Right.
always talking about what drives us and what goes into the next generation car. So we talk about electric
Right.
and we talk about all these things. One of the things we've done a couple of shows on now that he said I would have never talked about is materials inside. We never cared or thought about, he said, as car designers,
Right.
whether this was a germ trapper, whether this,
Yep.
so we're putting thick carpets in, we're
Yep.
putting all sorts of textured surfaces that can't easily be wiped down or cleaned
Right.
because they look
Right.
cool. And he said, I don't know the answer to this, but are they all going to turn into antiseptic buses now?
No, they won't, Paul. And I'll tell you what. And I mentioned this before, very, very early on when this started. Everything that we do when it comes to bathrooms and kitchens, even in residential situations, okay, all the materials that we use, when we talk about absorption of stuff into marble versus into granite, when we talk about, materials that are wipeable versus not wipeable, things that are user friendly or maintenance free is what we also use it as a selling point. All of that knowledge base came from dealing with infectious disease
Yeah.
and surface materials and how things are. So when we look at what we were comfortable with as the old normal, or what we refer to as normal life, information that had been gained by adversity and illness and pandemics was already factored into our lives. And so we are just going through now an evolutionary step to the next thing, and an elevation of your business, an evolution of your life. One of the things I plan to do on this series is I plan to bring on people that have technology, for example, to help make those places safer.
Yes.
Not because it's only safe, but because it's also more healthy.
So for example, I was in the hot tub industry for a number of years, crazy business. And
Oh my God, water
that was
circulation and bacteria.
Yeah.
How many
People
years did
having
you
sexual
talk about
relations in the
that?
tub and germs and hot water growing and bacteria and everything like that. All that technology that they developed to fight that, ozone, ultraviolet, double filtrations and all these things.
And what are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
Ultraviolet.
Right. And one of the things they used to use, which I suspect you'll see more of, are these, I think they were called Microban was the brand name, where it was a material for surfaces that would, the germs couldn't stick to it.
But your point, Paul, too, is that whole industry at some point, with even all of that, had to reinvent. Okay. They had to reinvent and go to air projection versus water circulation.
Right.
Because people, and what finally put it over the top, I know this because I design spas, is that people would go in and get manicures and pedicures, and they're getting their cuticles cut and everything like that, and the water being recirculated after in the trap of the pipes, bacteria having grown.
Yeah.
People were getting infected with this stuff. So instead of it being water circulation, we didn't give up the foot baths or the jacuzzis.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, what we did is we innovated, we reinvented, we reinvented ourselves, and it became an industry that now basically operated on injected air into smaller tubes,
right,
which then made for smaller tubs, which made for more elegant product, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
Why haven't we seen an explosion of, you're in the, you design fancy homes like the one you're living in, you design hotels and other sorts of things. That's been your background for a number of years.
Yeah.
When are we going, and this guy, Brian, was talking about cars, when are we going to see a shift in materials that are suddenly bacteria-free, that the like Microban will grow on, or maybe even kill germs, or are clean easier? We never put that into focus. We did in a bathroom or a kitchen, but we never did anywhere else in the house or the car or anything else, or our clothing or anything else.
When was the last time you changed your air filter on your
Oh,
forced air unit?
100 years ago, probably.
Right. So that's one thing that people don't do. That should be being changed every 6 months.
Right.
Right. I change my air filters in the home and my dad's every 6 months. But that in itself is only a stopgap measure for what we could be doing. We could actually be modifying our air conditioning units in our homes to where we don't have to worry about putting a filter or not. The whole air circulation is now basically filtered through a unit that is outside, just like I just turned on the air, and it basically has a 99% particle capture. These are systems that are already in existence in places like the Staples Center.
A friend of mine produces a product. He makes a whole home water purification system, a fancy one. He has literally sold them to Elon Musk and Madonna's house and people like that. I mean, big,
that's the next one.
multi-$1,000 things. And he came out of the hot tub industry, and he said, we use all the same stuff we used to clean the hot water. We use ultraviolet, we use reverse osmosis, we use special filters, we do all this kind of stuff. Ionization, yes, that's a big one for him. And we do all of this stuff, and we make every bit of water in your whole, and he said, it's not cheap, it's a $100,000 system or something.
But it is not as expensive as you think, Paul. That's the thing I'm saying to you. It's that the information is there. It's just that we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And so right to your answer to the question that you asked, which is when are we going to see this stuff? Well, it's the normal thing that happens. Increase in interest driven by necessity, fear, worry, and then I get past the worry phase, and now I'm basically looking for an empowerment phase. How do I empower my life instead of basically operating just from fear? And now making decisions that are a little bit more long-lasting, more sustainable, more not immediately, let me get that air purification unit and put it in my home, in the room, and just basically huddle in that room on my own because that's the safest corner in my house. No, how do I get my whole house to function now? How do I, it's like I want hot water, so I have Insta-Hot system put into the house, right?
Right.
Okay, well, Insta-Hot system is a beautiful thing, but if your pipes are not correct copper, you're going to have little micro leaks, and all of a sudden you got leaks all over your house. So every growth.
My next door neighbor just had that problem. He put an Insta-Hot upstairs because he wanted it faster, and it started leaking all over the place.
Right, because the copper pipes, if they're not absolutely good quality copper pipes, they have impurities in them, and the impurities interact with the hot water that's running all the time, especially if you have a water softening system, and it breaks down that pinhole in the pipe, and all of a sudden you got little micro leaks.
So why haven't we seen yet? It's been a year, coming up on a year.
Because it's only been a year.
Yeah.
Because it's been a year of basically being, deer caught in the headlights, paranoid, worried, bunker mentality. Totally understandable. I totally get it. I honestly do. It's not easy, even when you're in the most courageous mindset, to sustain that situation with the reality and the constant barrage of information. 400,000 dead, which is real, but it's like, oh my God, I'm like post-traumatic stress disorder. I can't get away from this thing.
So on a positive note, will we see? We've already seen it. Many people have said this isn't going to change everything. It's just going to accelerate the change that was already happening. And I'll give you one example.
Correct, and I believe that, but I think other things are coming out of this, which we would have never basically had to face.
So will we all have a ultraviolet something, what would you call it, a screen that we go through as you enter buildings or enter houses to try and kill you?
I mean, remember the days when metal detectors were this big cumbersome thing? Now there are metal detectors in buildings that you don't even know you're walking through.
Right. So on commercial buildings or even on your home, will you walk through this to try and get rid of anything on the surface? Will we have...
Paul, when you walk into a restaurant, right? When you walk into a restaurant that has an exposed counter, like basically a Chipotle or whatever, right?
Right.
Do you even notice the air curtain that's above the door anymore?
No, not anymore. No.
Right. But you know why that air curtain is there? That air curtain is there to basically
keep flies out. I always thought
keep the flies out from coming into where the food is being prepared.
Right.
So we don't even notice that, right? I mean, I think.
So are there new innovations like this coming to homes, to restaurants, to buildings, to whatnot?
There are, and some of it is adaptations of things that were happening in the larger hospitality space or what have you, right?
I'll give you another example. We just put in new flooring. We ripped up all the carpet downstairs that'd been there forever, and now we have this plank, fake plastic, looks like wood planks that everywhere I go now, the doctor's office, my neighbor's house, everybody's got this stuff here.
Let me guess why you did that. Because you wanted to eliminate particles that are basically trapped into your carpet.
Yeah.
And basically are there and you can't really get them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have what amounts to just it's not cement, but it's just it's a flat. My wife said it's cleanable. There's no dust. There's no dirt. There's no germs. There's no nothing.
We've been putting that in a lot of places too, way before. And the reason it was driving it was, especially as you get older, like, less maintenance, easier to clean.
Right. And we had grandkids crawling around on the floor all the time.
Safer for the grandkids. Right. So yes, in part, there's been an acceleration, but let's not for a minute take away from the seriousness of what this is. And they're talking about the fact that this isn't something we get over as a world. Just like smallpox was not eradicated in 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. This thing is going to basically be where we may need to get a booster shot for it every year or every other year.
For years to come, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like what we used to do with other stuff. You go get a flu shot every year, right? Is the flu been removed from existence and eradicated? No. Does other strains come? Yes. Now, is COVID like the flu? Hell no, it's not. And I'm not taking away for a minute because I have been right in the front line of dealing with it, both myself and literally almost losing my dad. I mean, I have not even shared with people that I know just how critically serious it was. Because I really didn't feel like
told me I'll just share the only story you shared with me, and I hope this is okay, but you were at some point your dad couldn't talk or do anything. All you were doing was holding his hand and wondering, is this man dying in front of me? And he's squeezing your hand to say, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean it's and you don't want to let go of his hand, but at the same time, you realize you've been sitting there for half an hour, 45 minutes, and you cannot do anything else.
I've been there. I went through this with my mom, my dad, my aunt, everything we talked about all those years. I feel for you. I sympathize with you. I empathize with you, as I know. And until you go through, that's why I was always trying to say to you and everybody listening, it's hard to be prepared for that until it happens. It's hard to understand it.
We talked about this about aging and aging parents and how this is, again, a topic that we don't talk about. And that's been kind of a driving undercurrent of the shows for the last 5 years. I can't even believe we're coming on 6 next month.
I can't either. Right.
But the whole reason, and I want to kind of close because I think we're coming on the hour here.
Right.
I want to close with this. I want to extend a personal invitation to anybody who wants to come talk about this. If it is in your professional capacity as a medical practitioner, you want to talk about it because of you're a frontline worker that basically wants to share about what you've been through. I have no idea, other than what I hear snippets of on the news. I have no idea personal share of what you guys are going through.
You're shunned. I can't come talk to you. I can't see you. Rod's in seclusion somewhere. I hope he makes it.
But I mean, the pressure on these first responders and the frontline workers that have had to be the conduit between family members and other people in hospitals that are dying, and they're having to be the surrogate connection point as the person is passing.
Can't imagine.
I mean, I have no idea what that feels like. So everything from that kind of level of human tragedy, human condition, human experience, if you're comfortable sharing it, please come and share it, because it's not just, I think, that, therapeutic personally to share another human condition, but also could be very helpful for other people. I was on a call on Sunday with a group of my friends from the alumni group from my college in Switzerland. I had people there was people from Switzerland. There were people from the East Coast. I was on the West Coast up in Big Bear. There was a guy that is a friend of mine from college that was not in Dubai or Abu Dhabi where he lives, but he was now in Lebanon. And I said, why are you in Lebanon? He goes, well, he got COVID, and then his elderly parents, and he's a little older than me, so his parents are even older than my dad. His elderly parents also had COVID in Lebanon. So he went to Lebanon to be with them because he was already
sick,
positive,
right,
and he could take care of them, right? So I was sharing with him my personal experience with what happened with my dad. In the course of sharing that information, I literally gave him the name for the infusion that my dad was given that was critical at a very critical time to help him fight off COVID and help him basically recover. And it had to be given within 7 to 10 days. It's the short abbreviation. It's a BAM IV, but if anybody's interested, reach out to me. I'll give you that information. Again, information that's not widely known.
No.
And the reason I knew about it is because my aunt works for the FDA, and she gave me that information on a family call the week before. Or not the week before, when we told them that Dad was not doing well. So this is, come and share.
Yeah.
Okay, come and share. It's your way of helping us all and yourself cope with
I'd love to
this.
get Representative Lou Correa on the show, who obviously had one shot and then came back and got sick in between the 2 shots. So we're thinking 1 shot's enough. 1 shot only gives you 50% coverage.
Yeah, right. But again, please come and share. Yes. Additionally, if you are somebody that is working on or has the home test kits, I know a lady that's been on our show before, Pamluku, who basically owns a lab, and they were working on some of that at the beginning, and I reached out there yesterday to try to talk about this. There's a company in Australia that I found that basically, we're not limited because we're doing Zoom. I could interview somebody in Australia on this. Anybody who, we have a show that has a good following, it has a reputation that's a trust relationship, authenticity in our content that we give out. Please come join us and share. We're going to reach out to people for sure. But if you hear this, if you listen to this, call me on my cell phone, 949-212-8299. Drop me an email at the Raad Life, THERAADLIFE @gmail.com. Reach out to Paul on OC Talk Radio. Come and share. Because again, like I said, we've gone through the stages of grief. We've gone through the fear, the anger, the
denial.
Worry. Some of us maybe are still, at different phases.
Right.
But we need to get ourselves to the point where it is empowerment and understand that there's not just loss here, which is devastating, but there's also an opportunity to evolve to the next new.
And that only happens if you build a community and have share stories and conversations. If we all do this alone, I'm the only one that understands it. Nobody's going through this. Nobody gets it. It's by sharing that we show not our caring, but our community.
We did Raad Life shows when the COVID hit and you had to shut down the studio. I went on to Zoom, and we were doing Raad Lives not once a week. We were doing them almost every day, if not twice a day.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it was not only useful to connect with people, and we're kind of doing this now after a year later.
Right.
But we didn't call it the Chronicles then, but we're calling it the Chronicles now. It, I think, was very therapeutic for myself, for people that were being interviewed,
right?
And you feel like you have some use. You have some purpose. You're sharing your own personal experience. Do not come on just to sell a product. That has never been this show. It will never be this show. Okay. We didn't do it for adult diapers and incontinence. We are not going to do it for this, right? But please take it from me as a person who has experienced it firsthand, and not just if it was just me, I would probably be, oh well, shit, it was nasty, but okay. But when it's as real as possibly losing your elderly parent because of this, I cannot imagine and then possibly passing it on to other people that you love and care about, and the risk of that until you know that they're in the clear or they're not. The guilt of that is overwhelming. But to think that you are not going to potentially find yourself in that position as we continue to navigate those waters, if you think you're going to be able to continuously just hide at home kind of and be sequestered, I'm not knocking it. It's what you need to do for you, and that's what you need to do, and I respect it all day long. But at some point, we're going to have to face the reality that this isn't something that's going to go away. This is something that's going to be around. We will get better at dealing with it. We will be more fortified and immunized to deal with it. We will get back to a different thing than just being locked up at home by choice in most cases, and understandably so. we can now basically start to plan for the new normal on our own terms.
The next
based on
normal.
what we have learned in this process.
The next normal, as you said.
It's the next normal. It's the next normal, but the way I'm thinking about it, it's an evolution. We had a dramatic thing, and things evolve from that, or can evolve from that if we allow them. So let's continue to have this discussion. Please come on, reach out to us, come be part of the Raad Life COVID Chronicles. We're not going anywhere.
Share your stories, and together we'll get through this.
Thank you, Paul, for the time. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
And hang on, I'm gonna end the show, but hang on, I want a few things to talk to you about here too. I mean, we'll end the show now, and then but don't hang up the Zoom call.
But hold on a second. So I want to just say, please take all the precautions you can.
Yeah.
To be safe for yourself, for your loved ones, for the people around you. It's just the right thing to do. And I have a mask company, I mentioned it. It's called TaylorMadeFaceMask.com. Taylor spelled with an I, not a Y, if you're a golf enthusiast. Tailor-made, as in sewing, TaylorMadeFaceMask.com, okay? As a listener of this show, okay, I'm going to give you a code that you can use, okay, at least for 10% off. Wow. And it's called Safety 10. You can use that across the whole website. If you are interested in finding out more about the show, or if you want to share some of your stories, even if it's via email, okay, with me, or call me, I'll have another code for you that's for 30% off. How's that?
Wow. Such a deal. Okay. I've got one. I got one right here with me. They're beautiful. I
really want to hear what you guys have been going through. I really want to be able to provide this as a platform for that sharing to get to other people. I know people are struggling out there. I know people are hurting. I know people have lost family members. I know people that have been concerned and worried, and they really cannot control this. So the fear and the concern is even more amplified, and totally understandable. Totally understandable. Please come on. Thank you, Paul, for the time. I appreciate it as always. You stay safe, and I'll see you guys next week.
You have been listening to the Raad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Raad Ghantous, brought to you on the one and only OCTalkRadio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.